because God starts with a completed absolute creation, a heaven and an earth, he ends with a complete creation, right? A new heaven and a new earth. Just as he began, so he will end. It is the principle of God. And that is what he is declaring in his word, that what I did was a completed creation. It was absolutely done in verse 1. That's what he's stating from his prophet Moses when Moses wrote this. And that it belonged to me. It was Rashith, beginning. It was the first fruit. It was mine. It belongs to me. So he lays claim, Elohim, to the whole of creation. In other words, there are no other gods. There are no others who have right to the heaven or the earth, the universe, or anything that is made. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. He is before all things, and by him, the Bible says, all things consist or are held together. He is God. He doesn't go on and try to describe to you, where he came from, or, hey, here I am. He just states it. I am that I am, that I am. That's how he reveals himself to Moses. And what he's saying when Moses began to write this in verse 1 is, I made a heaven, I made an earth in the dateless past, and it was an absolute creation of both realities or both dimensions, a heaven and an earth, and they were mine, the first fruit of my labor. They are mine, and they belong to me. I made them completed and absolute, the heaven and the earth. So he wants us to understand that, because everything that's about to happen afterwards is a result of the unfolding plan of salvation and recreation, if you will. Not reincarnation, but recreation, or a new creation. So listen to this. So then after making that statement that the first fruits belongs to me, in verse 2, he then draws our attention away from heaven, and he takes us immediately to the earth. He draws our attention to the earth. So we need to pay attention what he's about to say, because he's taking our spiritual understanding and our imagination away from the original stated fact of verse 1. And then he says, now check this out. To put it in modern English, he's like, now check this out. Let your focus and attention now come to the earth. And this is what he begins to say in verse 2. And what is revealed? And the earth was Haya. The word Haya means to become. And the word become implies that something is about to happen to the earth, or something happened to the earth. So he says, and the earth was without form. In other words, the earth became without form. He implied that something happened to the earth, and the word without form, the word form, it literally means tohu. So the earth was without tohu, or without form. The word tohu is very interesting because it means a desolation of surface, and to lie in waste, to become a desert. That's literally what he's saying. But now I'm going to talk to you as Moses is writing. I'm going to show you something, that the earth, not the heaven, notice, but the earth becomes a desert place, a desolation. So he's revealing something. From verse 1 to verse 2, suddenly we go from a heaven and an earth that is a first fruit and holy unto the Lord, to an earth that has become desolate, wasted, and like a desert. And so he's revealing something to us, because he says it became like a desert and it was void. That word void is bohu, and that word bohu means an undistinguishable ruin, vacuous and empty. So here we have what Moses is saying is intense. He then draws our attention immediately to the story of something that took place on the earth. Notice he doesn't say the heaven and the earth. He says just the earth. And that the earth became a desolate, empty, desert-like place. And when you looked at it, it was undistinguishable. It was completely ruined, empty, and void. That's literally what it means. So he's revealing conflict, or some sort of destructive thing took place. He's wanting us to understand that. And then he says, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. The word darkness has two words that comprise the word darkness. One is koshek, and the other is kashek. Those two words comprise what we wrote in the English as darkness, but they're so revealing, because the word darkness literally means misery and destruction and death, and the withholding, chashak, of light. What is he actually saying, and what is he revealing? He's revealing that the earth became a desolate desert wilderness, and to look upon it, it was an undistinguishable ruin. It was empty. As a result, it became in a miserable, destroyed condition and had death on it. And the light that was once there was withheld or withdrawn.